This is Hannibal from the Hannibal TV.com here with a daily combat sports news update. I did do a full shoot interview with Christy Janes from SWE Fury earlier today that I suggest people check out. She's also wrestled in AEW and Impact this year, and she's wrestling December 12th in a grudge match against Vert Vixen in Greenville, Texas. I'll be there covering that event. So many stars on it. Mark Henry, Rodney Mack, Charlie Haas, Kevin Sullivan, the Blood Hunter, Tim Storm, who is the champion, and Teddy Long, and many more. So be sure to be in Greenville in the Dallas area, December 12th. But speaking of AEW, they brought in the 61-year-old Sting. Apparently, he signed a multi-year deal. He's not competed since he wrestled Seth Rollins in 2015. He was injured in that match. He went into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016. And not too long ago, it was reported that his merchandising deal with WWE had ended, similar to how Brock Lesnar's ended a while ago. So I guess AEW scooped him up. I remember in the Attitude Era in the 90s when wrestling was really popular in the mainstream and it was cool. There was no big hoopla about bringing 61-year-olds into the company. Even in the 80s, I don't recall in the late 80s any old wrestlers from the 60s being brought in and it being a big deal. I like Sting. I have nothing against him. But it's just sad that this is big news when he's 4 years away from being a senior citizen, and this is a big deal. WWE has unveiled some more signees. I don't really know these guys, but I guess the Rascals, who were in Impact, Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz, they were the two names that people would recognize from the group of signees. They had their farewell to Impact a few weeks ago. Impact apparently is working with AEW now. Kenny Omega won the AEW title from Jon Moxley. We know Moxley's wife is pregnant, and he's probably going to be taking some time off when they have the kid. And the Young Bucks had already said that Omega is supposedly going to be the guy in 2021. So they already hinted towards it. Now it's happening. So we'll see. They got a very poor rating last week, back in the 0.2s. So they did a title change this week, brought back in Sting. So we'll see. I'm sure they'll be back in the 0.3s this week because they really promoted this show. But last week, NXT actually had more viewers than AEW. AEW still won in the actual 18 to 49 demo, but NXT had more viewers. In boxing news, something that did get a lot of mainstream interest and a lot of viewers was the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. exhibition fight last weekend, which was a draw, as they said it was going to be a draw even before it happened. But they don't even have all the buys in yet, and it has over 1.2 million buys, which is an incredible number. The only pay-per-view that did better than that in combat sports this year, it was the Kamaru Usman versus George Masvidal fight that only had 1.3 million buys. So they don't even have all the buys in yet from the Mike Tyson. The Mike Tyson fight might actually have more buys when all is said and done than that UFC 251 card. And it did have more buys than Fury versus Deontay Wilder 2, which had somewhere between 800 and 850,000 buys. So for the people saying Tyson is washed up, he's drawing. He's going to have either the biggest buying pay-per-view card or the second biggest of the year, which is pretty impressive for an exhibition, not even a real fight. And for the people that are hating on Jake Paul, who in my opinion is a great heel, better heel than anyone in the WWE right now for sure, he was a part of that buy rate. So let me get into your questions. That's the main news of the day. Other news, by the way, in North American Wrestling and Alliance News, they have the big fight pay-per-view coming up December 19th. Former ECW champion Justin Credible will be taking on the Blood Hunter, managed by Kevin Sullivan, in one of the big matches for the show. It will also include Davey Boy Smith Jr., Chase Stevens, Alpha Jr., Alofa, who is also known as LA Smooth, who I did an interview with, one of the head shrinkers. The Nasty Boys are going to be there. Jimmy Hart is going to be there. Amber Nova. Some real top female wrestlers are going to be on this card as well. So if you live in the Daytona area, come on down to the Ocean Center. It's going to be a great show. Otherwise, order it on Fight. It's only going to be $9.99.